Have you ever wondered why certain numbers appear so frequently in the Bible? Some say it's just coincidence, but the number 40 holds such a deep mystery that once you discover its true meaning, there's no turning back. It's not just a number, it's a divine code used by God to shape stories, transform lives, and reveal purposes. The curious thing is that this number appears in crucial moments, always connected to trials and victories that change the course of humanity. Now think with me, what if the number 40 had the power to transform your life too? It might sound bold, but the truth is that it represents much more than just periods of waiting. It symbolizes rebirth, spiritual strength, and most importantly, God's presence in the midst of adversity. Can you imagine applying this concept to your daily life, just as Moses, Elijah, and even Jesus did? It may seem hard to believe, but there's something about this number that feels almost magical, or better yet, divine. And here's the big question. Why was the number 40 chosen for so many events that shaped human history? The answer goes far beyond what you might think. But before we dive into this journey, we need to understand what makes this number so special and how it can change the way you view your own spirituality. Are you ready to discover this secret that few people know? Have you ever noticed how certain numbers seem to carry a significance beyond the ordinary? The number 40 appears repeatedly in the Bible as a symbol of deep and divine transformation. Isn't it interesting that Jesus spent 40 days in the desert and that the flood lasted exactly 40 days? This number is not there by chance. It represents a period of testing and growth, a kind of bridge between who we were and who we can become. Imagine dedicating 40 days to reconnect with God or to strengthen your spirituality. The Bible shows us that these periods are meant to shape our awareness. Think about the Israelites wandering for 40 years in the desert. It wasn't just a random journey, it was a time of preparation for something greater. Maybe your life feels like a desert right now, and that could be an invitation to reevaluate your path. How about setting aside time each day to pray, meditate, or simply reflect on what God is trying to teach you? These waiting periods are not punishments, but opportunities for transformation. It's like planting a seed. It requires patience, but the fruit comes at the right time. And what about Moses on Mount Sinai? He fasted for 40 days to receive the 10 Commandments. Have you ever thought about what that means? It's an example of how spirituality can be strengthened through moments of isolation and dedication. You may not need 40 days on a mountaintop, but what if you committed to a spiritual retreat, or even just 40 minutes a day dedicated to Jesus and positivity? This practice may be simpler than it seems, yet powerful enough to renew your strength. And what's interesting, this cycle of learning and growth repeats throughout Scripture. There are moments in life when we feel like we're searching for something greater, a purpose, a mission that connects us with the divine. The number 40 in the Bible marks these moments of fulfilling God's plan. Think of Moses spending 40 days on Mount Sinai before receiving the 10 Commandments. It's not just about waiting, but about the process of preparation for something extraordinary. And what about you? Have you ever stopped to reflect on what God might be preparing for you? Sometimes all it takes is creating space in your routine to listen more attentively. Moses' 40 days also teach us that great purposes require dedication and commitment. It's not just about waiting for something to happen, but about actively working on your spirituality while you wait. Why not start small daily rituals to draw closer to Jesus? Maybe a Bible study, a reflective reading, or even an act of kindness, like helping someone without expecting anything in return. These acts, when done with intention, open doors for you to recognize the fulfillment of something greater in your life. And we can't forget that these 40-day or 40-year markers in the Bible always point to divine intervention. Whether with Moses, Elijah, or even Jesus, there is always a deep spiritual purpose that is fulfilled in the end. How can you apply this to your own journey? Set aside a period for a personal or spiritual project and see how it transforms your perspective. You may not notice it at first, but God works in silence, and when you least expect it, the strength you've cultivated will bear extraordinary fruit. But what else does the Bible say about these defining moments? Life is full of challenges, and each one seems to call us to a leap of faith. Take Elijah, for example. He walked for 40 days to Mount Horeb, sustained only by what God provided. Imagine yourself in his place, alone, exhausted, yet moving forward with unwavering trust. This story reminds us that even when the journey seems impossible, the spiritual strength that comes from God sustains us. How can you apply this today? Try surrendering your greatest fears to God for 40 days. Keep track of your progress and see how your spiritual awareness changes. Progress and see how your spiritual awareness changes. Another powerful lesson comes from the 40 days Jesus spent in the desert. He faced temptations that tested his faith and his connection to his divine purpose. This teaches us that trials are not signs of abandonment, but of growth. And have you noticed how your most difficult moments can also be the most transformative? Maybe it's time to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is God trying to teach me?" Sometimes, the simple act of trusting can open paths you never imagined. Elijah and Jesus show us that faith isn't about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them with courage. To build this strength, why not create a habit that strengthens your spirituality? You could pray before making important decisions, read Bible passages about resilience, or practice simple acts of kindness. All of this reinforces that trusting in God, even in life's storms, is the key to a more connected and positive life. Have you ever thought about what it means to start over? The biblical flood lasted 40 days, and in the end, it brought not just a fresh start for Noah and his family, but for all of humanity. This period was marked by both judgment and God's mercy. It's like a storm in our lives. It seems overwhelming, but in the end, it clears the way for something new. Maybe you're facing something similar right now. Have you thought about asking God not just for strength to endure, but also for clarity to see what comes next? Noah had to trust completely in God during that time, without knowing exactly what he would find when the rain stopped. This is a powerful lesson about how trust can help us navigate uncertainties. How about practicing this in your daily life? When faced with difficult decisions, ask yourself, what would God do in my place? This simple shift in perspective can help you connect with your spirituality and find positivity in moments of chaos. Now that you understand the power behind the number 40, the big question is, how will you apply this knowledge to your life? Are you willing to challenge yourself and use these 40 days as a time of transformation, of total surrender to God? Think about the areas in your life that need change, whether in your faith, your habits, or even your spiritual awareness. What's stopping you from taking that first step toward a deeper connection with Jesus and the purpose he has for you? The greatest moments of transformation in the Bible started with a simple act of faith. Now it's your turn. Why not start today? Set aside a few minutes to pray, reflect, and create a plan for the next 40 days. It doesn't have to be perfect. The important thing is to begin. And remember, God always honors those who seek him with sincerity. Imagine the impact this commitment could have on your spiritual strength, your positivity, and your connection with the divine. Finally, I have a special invitation. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue learning about biblical truths that will transform your life. After all, what God has in store for you may be much greater than you ever imagined. So, are you ready to take this step?